I like to play a little game with you here at TTKMS, this podcast. Just a little game. And you could fill in the blanks if you want to play. It just exercises our brain. Okay? So anything that hinders the blank alters the effects that hinders the clear blank. Okay? So anything that hinders the blank alters the effects of hindering clear blank. Okay? So we can come back to that. Okay. So, and the reason why that happens is because we don't have the tools of truth. Okay. See if you can tell me what this means. And then we'll again go through why this happens. See themselves very exaggerated. Has a fantasy behavior. It has a world of their own. You ever see them do that? It's like you say something to them and they go, nope, that's all right. Or they'll hang up on you. I know this little person, very tiny person that does this to everybody. Dresses as a man, dresses as a woman. Yeah. So what they do is they stare like this. And if they don't accept it their way, they hang up or they leave the song, your song, or something that they had joined in. Okay? So there's a label for this, actually. Its rules don't always apply to them, but it revolves around them. Okay. Oh, so they will like walk fast. They'll push you out of the way. They have to be the only participant that you look at. Okay, so if you think about what kind of mindset that is, when you read the room, when you read around your room, ladies and gentlemen, you do that when you're at hospitals, you do that when you walk in your house, you'll do that when you're caring for someone, right? You will focus. But if you read the room on these kind of behaviors, they love admiration. And it's like if, let's say you're caring for your children or caring for another. And in that, another person engages in has to be all about them. Okay? So we're still looking for the same label. There is no empathy. There is no empathy. They do not show any, they don't identify as your loss, okay? Or let's say there is an accident or something happened at home or at work. There is no remorse or empathy or even sympathy. It's just fake. It's just fake. It's very dangerous to have these people in your home, in your workplaces, where it's, especially, when you look at healthcare. And when actors come in and do this, if they don't take off the mask, that is who they identify as. It's like they believe they're very unique on their own. Okay. So they don't read the room. They don't see from the outside looking in. Okay. And they love to exploit. They assume they are the special one. They are the special one. Oh, yeah. They're very, very difficult to get along with. You've been there? Oh, yeah. I'm sure we all have been there. They're so difficult. It's like, can you move me to another floor, working, or somewhere else? Or could you remove this person from this? You could be sitting beside them, or maybe you've gone to a concert, or you've gone to a group or something, whatever it may be, or workout, or that could be happening in your home, which is very vicious, and it's very hard for the other parent, and the children are observing this from the outside in, and it's very hard on them. Okay, so they attack others, but it attacks the person internally. It's like that antisocial drug lord, malignant narcissist. As if you ever watch Scarface, it's a good movie. That's what it's like. If you watch the movie, you might think it's real funny, but if you look at parts, they play the parts really well. Devil Wears Prada. Okay. And I'm not talking about show-offs, because we all like to show off, right, at times in our life. I'm not talking about that. I mean, we all have done that, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about I am the best. And I'll go through the names with you. See if you guess. It's a pattern of gaslighting. And there's no sense of calling them out. Because you already see it. Everybody else sees it. No, it's up to someone in your home, or the CEO or management, or wherever you are working or you may be, to take care of the business, or other people to come handle it. If they don't, well, you could be looking at another person in that behavior, because they don't care for other people's welfare. They do know what they're doing. They do know what they are doing. And in this, it's blame shift. And oh, poor me. I'm the victim. You did to me. You should hear this. So I hear this at work. Oh, because you're going to go report me, I'm going to have to go do my job now. You know, the whole poor me. And they're allowing it at work. Okay, you're dealing with a very dangerous person at work. They never give it up. Every day it's an ongoing vomit eating story. They might and they listen, but they get worse. They mimic empathy. They'll listen. So if you pay attention, so I watched one at work, and what she would do was she would just, and she tried to pick up what she could so she can mimic it back. And they allow it. Okay, this is dangerous. And this is why I walked away from work. This can happen with your coworkers, or they could be working in the system with the company. Although they'll work their way into it, and there's more than one of them. I have already showed them, but see, what's going to happen is I'm not responsible for those people. I'm responsible to speak up. Arrogant, center of attention. This can I've met doctors like this. I've met celebrities like this in positions of people of bad leadership. Oh yeah, look at me. Never mind you. I can use you to benefit me to make money, but forget about you. I am it. So what I'm going to, have you guessed what it is? And honestly, I have gone through this with Joe Navarro, Chase Hughes, and his, like, Scott, the whole group. I have gone through it. I have gone through it with Dr. Phil. I have gone through it with the best. And Lisa, she's got it on her show all the time, so she knows about all this. And Dr. Ramani and others. And when you're seeing more than one of these patterns, you know, I'm not going to stand around and argue with these people. So what I did was I walked out. And then they try to send you stuff. They want you to go see a doctor because they want to try to, these narcissists want to get away with it. So what you do is you just walk away, and they will be accountable for paying for it. And what's going to happen is, if they leave it, and the residents have come to me, not walked to me. They have talked to me about this. And they said there is no point in going to anybody about it, Rhonda, because they're not putting it in action. So I actually had residents offer me some of their furniture and that. Are you kidding me? They have a fit if they do that with you. Why are they being nice to them? Why are they being nice to her? They're not giving it to me. It's not about you, it's about me. This is what they were doing. So I had some residents who are going to be passing away, like near their end, and they offered me some of their antique furniture. And I says, well, I have to get permission. They says, excuse me, I don't have someone who's going to get permission who my stuff goes to. And I have to write it down to make sure you get it. And what happens is they come in and they behave like this. Okay. So I took this because I had engaged with, I'm going to explain what this word is. It's called grandiosity. And this is where you can run into psychopathy and run into a psychopath or a sociopath. Okay. No, it's only up to me to speak out, and it's up to them to do something about it. And there's more than one. So now, when you're looking at another one, there's another one. So that, as you know, is grandiosity I just spoke about, okay? And when you run into this, I am so sorry you had to leave your work, or if you're working with them, because it is difficult. It is difficult. And it's like they had cameras rolling at my work, so they would have observed them doing this. So here's another one for you. It's called egotistical, malignant. It's a real mean, wreck people's lives, target people. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of like psychopaths. They hurt people. This is what you call your classic narcissist. We have another one, and it's a little bit we can look at. It's a little harder to spot because they kind of like a snake, they sly in. And what you will find is as it's harder to spot, and like I said, I had cameras following me, so they would know. They would know that. So they know if the masks come off or if they stay on. But these ones, people here, they're blamers. They play the victim role, and they continue very passively for attention, very passive. And they hurt, and they play the role by asserting their rights, telling you how special they are, not you, how special they are. Okay. you will see how they use this in controlling. You see this if you're in wrong kinds of marriages. Yeah. So you're looking at passive, aggressive. Yeah. This here, ladies and gentlemen, is what they call a covert narcissist. And like I said, I learned this when I was in the workplaces, and I wanted to make sure I was dealing with either a malignant narcissist or a psychopath. And what happened was I went back to the former FBI agent and Joe and them, and I said, well, I'm identifying like not just the facial expressions, I'm identifying the actions. Okay. So there was a lot. They had another woman in there, and my heart went out to her. And she didn't have a problem saying, look, I have this problem. And she had some anger. So she took that away from the workplace. So she was a lot smarter, wiser than it was for a person that has like this aggressive grandiosity. So here we can recognize the patterns. Another one we can look at is they're exhibitionists. So here I'll give you an example. It's the camera on them. We all like a camera, and we all like to take selfies and whatnot, or maybe we did. That's how I practiced how to use the camera, because I couldn't afford a professional one because I just come back from Carolina. And they just built me up on supporting me in photography, because I love doing everything, and I love photography. So I didn't have the camera. So what I did was I practiced for over a year on my phone. And then I got to the point where people were asking me who was doing the photography. And they were just selfies. And they were not, making the pictures look better. You know how you can enhance it. No, they were all natural. Okay. But I didn't have to go around explaining that to people, but because I couldn't afford the other camera. So I used the phone for the longest time. And I was like, how's that look? Or, I'd be sending them in or whatever. So she had to learn how to size them and that. That's different. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about get that camera over on me. It's about me. Okay. So they're exhibitionists. Look at me. Okay. So it's an understanding. It's wonderful things that you have on me. I mean, the money they spend. Oh, look, I spent $1 million on charity. If it wasn't for me, they couldn't have it. But look at me. I was so gracious. Okay. That is a fake humbleness. Oh, look, I did. And then how much of a giver I am. Look what I did. See, when God talks about a humble giver, it's not one about goes out and brags about what they've done. You just go do it. Okay. You can never please them enough. Don't you know how to do it right? Come on. It's always one to be up here on a pedestal. High. I want a reward of looking at me. Okay? This is what you call a communal narcissist. So you cannot fix a narcissist. You cannot fix them. As Dr. Phil talks about, it's above our pay grade. They're only God can fix, and he does it for free with grace. We cannot fix anyone. I can help lift, but if I lift the wrong character, narcissist, that person's going to be coming at me, right? So the only one that can do a shift in this, because I am hopeful as well that God can change the heart. If you want to learn some more about this, there is Dr. Ramani. I see her on a lot of certain podcasts because she's dealing with it every day, but she's, or people that are victims of it. But like she says, when she's explaining, like I am right now, because I am learning, she never tells people what to do. She gives you a choice, you know, because if she did that, it could lead into trouble, right? The other partner could come and cause. So she doesn't do that. She just, they go for therapy, and she explains what it is, okay? Because she wants to help, but she can't tell you not to do something or do it. So you cannot fix a narcissist. You cannot change them in theory. As can they be changed? Yes. I believe God can do anything. So when we have learned behaviors, and you know, it's like if I had my child sitting on a satin pillow all the time, how are they going to start behaving if that's all they got? Right? I'm putting them up here, and it's my own fault. It's my own fault because I believe that we should spoil our children. I really do. Right? So it's like, where's our boundaries, right? But if we're on a constant, because if we go, well, if we do this, we go to work, that'll shut them up. That's how you're raising a narcissist. So it's a learned behavior, and it neglect does these behaviors and abuse. And haughty and arrogant, and it's just basically put myself above everyone else. Okay, in theory, talking about this, I guess sometimes I just like, why do we have these? Because, you know, anybody can be changed, and they have phobias and stuff like that, and I go, sometimes when I'm studying the Bible and I think about all this, sometimes I go like, what's the point? But the point is so that you can be aware. You can be aware. When you notice these traits, it's important to go to the person you're learning from or somebody and let them know. Okay. Because you could be acting with them. And honestly, if you got a part and they want it, they will knock you down the ladder. They were doing this to my daughter and came in from the USA business. There's women very jealous. And then there's also someone else who come in, and that just did it for me. That was it. Because we're dealing with a psychopath there. There is people that have personality disorders, and they use it to work it for them. You hear that even in the colleges. I did. Well, since I have this and I have that, I get paid from accessibility, and I believe you've got that too. And then they have some of them have a sickness, and they want to cling to you, or they want to own you. And I've reported, okay? They do use it to work out their own problems. It's a fantasy world where you're not on the same level as, not better than the person. I'm not talking about that, the mindset. Okay. So what is there to fix? They was like, get it together. What is your problem? You know, it's all this little nasty, like, you're the problem. You know, they walk away in a rage. You know, it's not me. What are you talking about? I didn't say I'd pay for that. I think you maybe has some memory loss. Okay. They do not like to be sucked down. Right? Nobody does, though. They will stalk you. They will stalk you. And they cause problems. They do not know boundaries, so we can't fix them. Okay, why they use this voyeurism is to sneak in and grab power, because that's the only way they can do it. That's what they were doing with me. There was actually ministries in that. They were actually there was a whole bunch of them. And what they were doing was, and there was actually a counselor and a whole bunch of them in there. And what they do is they were acting on voyeurism to grab power, to have power, to listen to me so they could act on premeditate ahead of time. Yeah. So they have to put you down and they have to build themselves up. So what does that tell me? What does that tell me when someone puts you down and to build them up? They're really hurting inside. Like, there's a lot of pain in there. A lot of pain. If I came in to teach you lessons and I trained you up to be a sociopath, and I didn't care about the consequences that you're going through, you're just going to do it. And so you go, and they talk to you like, and you get a little bit scared and you do it. They like that. What it does is it gives them a rise, not in the jeans or in the dress pants, slacks. It gives them a rise up here, which gives them a power, a control. And I've seen them do this. And I was the one that said, no, you're not even trying with me. That's disgust. But they did get the rest. Don't give them any glory, because they've been caught. I've watched. And so they'll shoot you down, and then they call it, if we go into leveling, you keep from any advantage that they cannot talk. It's like talk or be the bait. And it's like trampling on or over someone else, over your rights, over your personal rights, invading your space. They take the pen away from your story. They're very good at it. I'm not giving them any glory, but that's all they know. So they're good at it. We don't wake up in the morning, do we? And think about stuff like this. We wake up, brush our teeth, go to the bathroom, whatever, or maybe you go to the bathroom and brush teeth at the same time. Have coffee. Maybe you have 15 minutes. Okay, go in the bathroom, brush my teeth, grab my coffee, make sure my hair is pinned up, throw it on, whatever, right? Sometimes that happens, but it shouldn't. But if you had overslept, but it happens. And then, so we look at, they do a lot of gaslighting. And when I watched this, I really, really wanted to have someone in there with me watching this. But I had a hard time getting other people in because it was all about voyeurism. So if I have put cameras in your place, in all my daughter's places, and I'm watching on my phone or I'm watching on my laptop, and I can watch everything you do. Okay, so I have an advantage ahead of you because you don't know who's all behind that tablet or laptop or phone. So they get to watch and see what I'm doing, and they get to watch someone come in and harm you. They wait till you're sleeping or whatever, because they know exact times when you're in a deep sleep. And they premeditate because this is their way of control. Okay, that's their power. Okay, so you obviously can see that they're very sick, very sick. And what they do is they do this to other people, and they use mind control and gaslighting and scare the bejeebies out of them. And they get a rise out of this. And like I said, not down below, a rise in here. They don't care. They have no empathy. I watched it right on Smule. I blocked them. I watched it right there. And she's out there doing it. She also plays a he. Okay. It's very sick. They talk about well, other people say I touch children and stuff. You hear this stuff and you're listening. Well, don't leave it to your understanding, though. It's this little game they play. Okay. Which they shouldn't be doing it in the first place. So they're very, very unwell. They're unwell. So that's when you block. I don't have a problem speaking up about it, saying names, whatever it is, whatever name they're using, because they have different names. They'll put teeth in their mouth, fake eyelashes, put wigs on, but they can never really change their body structure too much. So unless they're doppelganging, but if they're changing their identity online, they're pretty easy to capture. So you got to look at the hands, or if you can see the feet, or you look at their eyes, you look at their mouth, because you know, what I do is I look at their eyes, I look at their mouth, and I go, okay, I spotted you because I know you don't have teeth. Right? And so what they'll just, and then you'll see another behavior that's the same as before. They'll have that, you'll say something, they'll listen to it, and they'll go, and they'll use their own discernment to whether or not they think you're good enough to have you around. And they did this on Facebook, what they allow and what they don't allow. So you're dealing with a grandiosity of psychopathy traits, of antisocial behavior, and a psychopath. Okay. I know that, and that's who threatened me. When you look at this, they don't just want to be happy, but they'll tell you, you just don't want to be happy. You're the one that's upset, not me. You're the problem. You're the one with the problem. What's wrong with you? They're happy to go like, you're just too sensitive. What are you talking about? You get that one? I did. You're just, and what they do is they train them up, their followers, because it's like a cult, because that's what they are. So I watched them do this to my family and others, and they came in and they settle right down in you're the problem. And when they abuse them like this, and they're scared to speak up, that's what I do. They're haters, they're criminals, they're harm doers, and they don't care. So why can't I speak up? If they don't care, then either should I to speak truth. And if they scare other people to be threatened by them, and if they don't, they said they'll, because they have no empathy, so I've watched them. They do not care if they hurt you. And like I said, I just blocked one. Okay. And they're right on Smule. I blocked 2 of them. And, then we need to go through who they are. Because you don't know who, you won't recognize, but if you've seen them before they got dressed up, which I did, they give it away. Well, we put up fence lines and boundaries, but there's one thing I could never be, like I said, as an interrogator. They hotbox you. So this is what psychopaths do, or malignant narcissists also do to you. They hotbox you. And they lie and trick. You did that with your children, like, but minor? Yeah. Bossed off to turn away and walk away. What I did was block, but unfortunately, it doesn't usually happen like this, but unfortunately, they got into my home. They have a fixation of behaviors and setups. Abusing harassment, harassment at your work. They love to take credit for everything. they like to put down, pretending you're giving you a compliment, but put you down. Oh, look at you. You're such a caring love. Look at you, you nun. You just love, look at the way you care for those people. So they're acting and behaving like they're giving a compliment with sarcasm. It's abuse, harassment. And I had harassment and they would do nothing about it. So you walk into HR, you file a report, and then that's it. Don't settle. I've had them come and say, yeah, well, Palestinian. And look at you, you're a Christian. You know what we think of you? And this was happening by this psychopath. If you look at these behaviors, it's because they've been in a position, in a position where something's happened to them. A psychopath don't know they're a psychopath. And what gets me is when I was taught that a psychopath does not know they're a psychopath, but they go online and brag they're psychopaths. Then I go, wait, there's a question here. And I'm thinking about Lisa at the same time because she has people on there all the time. And I'm going, and she doesn't say anything. She's very, very slow to speak. When I'm listening to this podcast and I'm thinking, geez, if a psychopath doesn't know they're a psychopath, then why are they bragging about being a psychopath? I watched another podcast, ladies and gentlemen. The four gentlemen are in there, and they're talking about this. They had this one say he's a psychopath. But honestly, gentlemen, I watch this behavior in others, in children, but not to that extent. You know when you, the man was saying, oh, I don't remember that person. Meanwhile, that person murdered the person, that one man. But he'd go, oh, I don't remember, even, maybe it's, if I said to the story, like, let's say, oh, I didn't meet the person, or I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I must have forgot it. Or, oh, I didn't realize I stole. I didn't know. I didn't look at it that way. That, to me, it sounds like a cry out for help, not that part of the psychopath. Because a psychopath don't care. Where if you do care, then there's something else happening. But to cover up, so the wrongdoing, the person, so a psychopath does know what they're doing. That's where I came into it. So I went, they don't know they're a psychopath, but they know what they're doing. So if they know what they're doing and there's no empathy there, that means, that person that had killed that person knew what they were doing, right? But, trying to find ways of, making excuses. That kind of me is like a mixed bag. It's kind of a mixed bag. If we look at narcissism and narcissism, and we look at the philosophy of this, and that's why I'm not pointing to people, but in different places. If we go to Islam, if we look at secret knowledge, we look at Jesuit order, we look at the International Order, and we look at the Dark Kingdom, we're looking at a dark triad with a lot of sadism with it. And what it is a cosmic Christ. And when you're trained up, because that trains up to be a sociopath, probably run by a psychopath. So in that event, when they're taught that, that's all they know. So then they have to have their brain rewired, because it'd be like, let's say I'm a parent, I'm a psychopath, and I train my children up as my little cult to be sociopaths. Now, sociopaths can be rewired But what about the psychopath? Was the psychopath originally a psychopath, or was the psychopath a sociopath? So only God can change the heart, but rewiring the brain. So you put in that question, was the person really a psychopath, or was the person trained up to be a sociopath that's a parent that's a sociopath to train up the children to be sociopaths? Do you understand? But we have to recognize these patterns, because let's say your parent is, and you recognize these patterns. It doesn't mean you are going to be one, okay? It just means that you need to get out of that darkness. And when you're in that darkness, because, they talk about genetics from a psychopath. If they're born a psychopath, maybe their lack of oxygen to the brain or the prefrontal cortex has been damaged, where, the amygdala, nothing's working right, and there's no new dendrites and no new cell growth. And just kind of like everything is suppressed in darkness. And if that's different. And so when that part of the brain is damaged, they don't look at that. But let's say I've seen some family trained up, and it was really scary to watch. And when they're so scared and nervous, they'll laugh. They feel cornered. They feel lost. And it makes me real sad. And that's what the psychopath wants you to feel. But I don't care. Because my family is my family, and you can't have my children. Okay? They're mine. But when I see them suppress, oppress any of my family, my children, my brother, my aunts, my uncles, anybody, my cousins, or threaten them, it's up to me to speak up, even if they deny it. And so they'll get you to watch a movie. They did at my mom's house, Misery, because they want you to watch it and role play it. Use it as a threat. Doesn't mean they did it, but they will use it as part of their theme. They'll get you to watch Law and Order to train up. They'll get you to study certain things in the law or in behaviors. Okay, usually scientists work on this. And what happens is that they get trained up. Okay, so when someone is trained up, it's not their fault. They have made them a victim. So it makes them really, really uncomfortable, which authority should never ever do that to anybody. Because you have to listen to a person that's grounded and explains it to them. Because you're placing them in a position that they shouldn't be in. So they're being attacked by someone who knows what they're doing. Okay. In that, because they know they're doing it. So as a mother, as God is my witness, it's up to me to put action in. Okay? Because when you're at home or out there or whatever, and somebody is training someone up, okay? When they train them up, their brain has been smeared, has been every day. If you do it every day, if I went to church in a cult group and they told me I couldn't be outside that church group, that's dangerous, and they wash me with all this and they just divide you and separate you, you're dealing with probably a psychopath or malignant narcissist, right? It's very. So, and that's the same what happens if, I know Iran's really coming to Christianity, but I'm talking about, let's say you're in Islam and they're doing this. It's because the leader either is a psychopath or a sociopath, and they're training their victims up to be the same. So they don't know anything different. So, that's your belief. That's like when I study the Bible and then I study the truth, it washes my brain, right? It washes my brain with purity, truth, because there's balance. But if my feet aren't grounded and there's no balance, then I have pulled you astray. Okay. So, you want to make sure that you look out for others that way. I mean, you can't fix anybody, but you can speak out. Okay, it's an impact, and it's very important. My God is my witness. When I had my babies, that was my duty to my girls and to family, to do the best I can. I can't fix anybody, but even though I molded them in the wrong direction, I had to get them out. Okay, I'm not accountable for other people, but I'm accountable for me, and I'm accountable as a parent for my children. I'm not invading their space when they're my babies at home, but when they grow up, they go do their own. Everybody does their own thing. They get married, live their lives, or whatever. But if they're in any kind of something that's happened with me, it would direct it to them of targeting. So it's up to me then to recognize this and make sure that I get the right connection, because people are used as experiments, and that is scary. That is scary when you're used as an experiment. And so it's not that they are what they portray. It's because the person has rewired their brain in a horrible way, and now they need some rewiring with gentleness, with love, with care, and not attacks. That's how you have to deal with it. So it's a different way of doing it. And usually they won't do it with parents and children. They'll do it with some other family and have somebody else do it. So it depends who's the narrative. I think I got some on base, or what's going on. But I do know, because I've seen it. I've seen it, right? So when you recognize this, I don't forget the mouths. I don't forget the eyes. I don't forget the size of the body. I don't forget any of that. And I remember the face expressions. I remember the actions. And that sticks with me, so I can recognize the person. Even if they hide themselves behind a wig, eyelashes, makeup, and throw some teeth in. Again, there is men out there that are dressing as women that you think you're with, and they can make their voice sound like a woman. And then there's men that are women that wear the wigs and make their breasts big. I'm telling you, their boobs always fall out, their hair falls out down, or something always happens. But all you got to do is just pay attention. Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes. And just watch the facial expressions. I mean, you shouldn't have to do all this. They shouldn't be doing it in the first place. But just be aware of that stuff. You know, again, you can't fix them. And only God can, because you can bring people to therapists. They can help, they can support, they can give you information, but they can't fix them. Okay? And that's what's important. Anyways, I better get moving it, because I have dance lessons today and another job to look for. So you take care of yourself. Honestly, at this podcast, I really enjoy talking to all of you at TKMS, Feed from His Basket. I am grateful for that. It's just that I have to take care of some things to take care of me and my surroundings. So take care, and God bless.